Hey everybody, well, I'm getting ready to make a chick roast, so I thought I'd show you how I do it. So I always start by patting the roast, getting some of the extra liquid off of it. You don't really need to do that the way that I'm going to do because you're going to end up not searing it, so it doesn't really matter. It's just something that I've always done.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here.
So because my roast is pretty thick, I'm going to put a lot of salt, a lot of pepper on it, and I use Himalayan salt, so pink Himalayan. And then I'm going to coat it with this beautiful flavored smoked paprika, which I absolutely love on meat. So if you haven't tried smoked paprika, try it. It's really good. And then just go ahead and do that on both sides. And don't worry that you're getting too much salt on there. It's a pretty thick piece of roast that I have. If you're using one this size, it's not going to hurt it at all. So then when you're all done with putting your flavors on there, all your seasonings, go ahead and just wrap this up. And I'm going to let it sit at room temperature for about an hour while I prep all the other veggies that I'm going to go ahead and put in this roast. So I just seal it up and set it aside. Then you want to get your cutting board all ready to be able to cut up your vegetables. And then with this, I just leave the potatoes in the bag. They're just little white and red potatoes. They're already pre-washed, but I like to get some of the stuff off of them. And then I'm going to do some garlic. And of course, y'all know I love garlic if you've been watching. So I just, I probably used about 10 cloves of garlic. And I just mince them up, cut them kind of rough. I don't worry about what size they are. They all cook up the same in this dish. And as you can see, I've got different colored potatoes and different colored carrots over here on the side. Yeah, it really makes for a beautiful dish. I'm going to go ahead and put one big shallot in there. Shallots, they're a little bit milder than an onion, and they kind of have a little hint of a garlic flavor to them. I just like to kind of mix between an onion, a shallot, and it just gives you a little bit nicer flavor when it comes to onions. And y'all know Scotty loves his onions, so and this is this is a nice size shallot. Some of them can get a little small, but it's that time of year where you're getting really big ones in the. All right, I've got that all cut up. I'm going to go ahead and put it in just a side bowl here. I'm going to go ahead and layer everything into a big pot roast container as soon as I get all my vegetables done. So I'm just going to cut up a big onion, take the outer peel off. You can save that and put it into some water with the ends of your other vegetables, your pieces that you've cut off, and make a vegetable broth if you like. I'm going to go ahead and just discard it because I don't have anything that I'm going to be making at this time with something like that. And I'm just going to cut my onion here up in big chunks. You can cut them smaller or larger, whichever you prefer. I just happen to like a more chunkier onion. Then I'm going to go ahead and I had a leftover bell pepper, and I'm going to cut the end of that off because it gets kind of tough on that end. And then just clean out the seeds. And there's all kinds of ways that you can clean out a seed, clean out the seeds from the inside of a pepper. I just tend to want to run them under the water, and that gets them out, and then pull that part right there out, and I'll just chunk those up as well. And then I've got a yellow pepper that I also had left over, so I'm going to go ahead and use that as well. We've got a lot of colors going into this roast. That's really pretty when it's all done. And then cut the ends off of your carrots. Some people like to leave the ends on it because it makes it look a little prettier, more autumny, I guess, is, autumn time. But I'm going to go ahead and take those off, and then I got my parsley that I'm going to go ahead and chop up. I'm going to use pretty much the entire stem of this. As I get closer to the end of the stem, I'll make the cuts smaller. And I have already pre-washed it. You want to pre-wash your parsley. And then I've got my mushrooms. I've already pre-washed those. And I'm just taking the ends off of it where they've cut it from when they picked them. Now I'm going to go ahead and just start layering it into my roasting pan. I want to have the heavier vegetables, thicker vegetables on the bottom. So you'll put your potatoes in, whether you've cut them or left them whole. I've left these whole because they're tiny potatoes, and the carrots are about the same size, so for cooking they'll probably, take just the same amount of time. So I've got my potatoes and my carrots in there, and then I'm going to go ahead and put my peppers, bell peppers, onions, garlic, and just layer those all on top. And then just even them out on top so that you've got kind of a bed of vegetables there. And then I'm going to take my cut up parsley, and I'm going to save some of that parsley to use at the end. So, and I've already got that put aside. So don't use all your parsley. Then I'm going to put in some Worcestershire, and you know me, I can't pronounce that. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in some of the smoked paprika. All the same seasonings that I put onto the roast is what I'm going to put in here again on top of the vegetables. And you can be kind of liberal with those. And then I'm also going to add some Italian seasoning just to give it a little bit more flavor. I'm also going to add in some new seasoning, which is mushroom seasoning, which I picked up at Trader Joe's. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a whole can of diced tomatoes with the juice and all. Just pour that over top. Now I'm just going to go ahead and cut up some butter and put some, just little slabs of it around the whole thing. It will melt and then go down around your potatoes and carrots. So I would say just about a half a stick of butter. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil, some garlic, even though I have the garlic in there, I love garlic. And just do the garlic to taste. If you don't want to add extra, then you don't need to. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my roast that it's been sitting for about an hour now, take it off, take the saran wrap off of it, and I'm going to go ahead and just put it directly on top of the vegetables. I'm not searing it. A lot of people like to sear their meat. I am not going to do that with this roast. Now you can either use beef broth or bone broth, doesn't matter, whatever one that you choose to do. And then I just slowly pour that over the vegetables and over the top of the meat. I don't want the seasonings on my meat to fall off, so you got to do it kind of gentle. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the parsley that I had saved and go ahead and pick off little pieces of that. And I don't know, this is more for just looks than anything, but it will give you some more flavor. Then you want to just cover it with some foil and get a really tight seal. Now if you have a lid for your pan, go ahead and use that instead of the foil. Now I've preheated my oven to 500. I'm going to put the roast in there for 30 minutes, and then I'm going to turn it down to 350 for an hour and a half. And look at what it looks like when you bring it out after that. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my mushrooms. The mushrooms cook faster, so I always put those in last. Now go ahead and cover it back up, seal it the best you can, put it back in the oven, and I'm going to leave it at the 350 for an hour and a half. Then you take it out of the oven after that. And be very careful when you're pulling back the foil or taking your lid off because it's going to steam. And look at how yummy that looks. Doesn't that look great? And go ahead and put it on a platter. And then I waited 15 minutes before cutting this, but look at how juicy that is. It's always so tender when you cook it like this that it just kind of melts in your mouth. And look at the color that smoked paprika puts on it. So once I've got it all sliced up, then I go ahead and I put my vegetables on the side of the plate, and that's how I serve it. I just take it and have one big plate there, and try to get as many of the vegetables on there as you can. And then I'm going to go ahead and take some of this broth and the juices from the roast and make a really nice gravy with this. I am going to go ahead and use just a little bit of it. I don't need that much gravy. And I'm going to go ahead and use Wonder Flour, which it dissolves a little faster than regular flour. It's meant for making gravies, and it has a little, as you can see, it's got a little shaker area. So it has less tendencies to clump. You could use baking powder. No, not baking powder, cornstarch to make a gravy as well. There's lots of recipes online, so just go ahead and look it up online if you need to know how to make some gravy. But this is just a simple way. I'm not putting any butter in there. The butter was already in the sauce, on top. If you remember at the beginning, I put butter over all of the vegetables, so I didn't feel like I needed to add any more. And sometimes you just have to have you just need to add a little bit more salt and pepper. And then I just go ahead and pour it over the top of the meat, and that's how I'll serve it. And then since you have all your vegetables, you don't really need anything with this, but I always like to serve it with a nice side salad.